Your partner in growth. Hey, crop insurance agents. Tired of the same old grind? Crop West Insurance is here to help you grow smarter and earn bigger. With personalized marketing plans, hands-on consultations, and exclusive educational retreats, they make sure you stay ahead of the curve. Crop West Insurance. Expertise, integrity, and all the tools you need to crush it. To find out more, please visit them at cropwestinsurance.com. Crop West Insurance Incorporated is an equal opportunity provider and employer. Hey there, and welcome to the Crop Insurance Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rideout, a third-generation crop insurance agent, and I'm here to help you navigate the ins and outs of crop insurance. It's what my family's been doing for generations, so you're in good hands. Our goal here is simple, to educate our listeners. Crop insurance can be complex and overwhelming, but I believe that understanding it is crucial for every farmer. So whether you're a seasoned farmer looking to stay updated or a newcomer seeking guidance, this podcast is for you. Today, we're going to be diving into something that's not only timely, but it's pretty exciting if you love digging into policy updates as much as I do. This episode is all about the 2025 updates to native sod policy. Now, before you tune me out thinking, oh great, some more insurance lingo, let me promise you one thing. By the end of this episode, you'll know why these updates matter and how they could directly affect you and your farm, especially if you're farming in areas with native sod acreage. Let's jump right in. Now, first things first, what is native sod? It's a term you might have heard, but what exactly are we talking about? Native sod refers to land that has never been tilled for crop production and is filled with native plants. Think of it as prairie land that's been around since before we were here. Native sod is generally found in the Great Plains region and parts of the Midwest. If your farm includes these lands, you might have special requirements and opportunities under your crop insurance. Beautiful, isn't it? But here's the deal. As lovely as native sod is, farming on it can have unique challenges and considerations when it comes to insurance. This is especially true for policies like whole farm revenue protection and multi-county enterprise units. That's why RMA has introduced some big updates in 2025, specifically for native sod coverage. So let's break down what's new. What's changing in 2025? Well, in simple terms, these updates impact how much of the native sod can be insured and how the premium subsidies are calculated. Let's give you some of the highlights. First up is the revised subsidy calculations. If you have native sod, the policy now limits the premium subsidy. Instead of the regular subsidy, native sod would have a slightly reduced subsidy rate, especially if your coverage is below 65%. That means if you're on native sod and select a lower coverage level, you might be out of pocket a bit more. Number two, the clear coverage limits. Another key update is around the coverage limits on native sod acreage. RMA wants to make sure that the coverage on these lands is consistent with other policies like the common crop insurance policy. So starting in 2025, native sod coverage can't exceed 65% unless you have certain qualifications like showing a strong historical yield. Number three, the extended reporting requirements. Documentation, our old friend. The policy now requires detailed reporting for the native sod, making sure it's properly documented on your acreage report. This can help ensure accuracy, not just for your insurance, but for the bigger picture, conserving that prairie land heritage that we talked about earlier. Now, let's say you're thinking, okay, so that's great info and all, but what does it mean for me? Well, that's a great question. So let's break that down. First, you have cost implications. With the revised subsidies, you may need to budget slightly more for crop insurance if you're working with native sod. The aim here is to balance insurance support with conservation. So if you're at that lower coverage level, just be aware of the change in subsidy. This might also affect your decision on the level of coverage you choose. It also can affect your crop selection flexibility. The changes mean you'll need to think carefully about what crops you plant on native sod acres. Since yield expectations and coverage limits are now more detailed, selecting crops that align with these guidelines can help you avoid a surprise in your policy coverage. Lastly, the conservation benefits. Let's face it, we all want to be good stewards of the land. This update supports that by encouraging farmers to keep native sod use balanced with conservation. So if you're passionate about protecting your land's natural character, these changes will align with that goal. Plus, hey, we're always thinking about that bottom line, right? Properly managing your native sod acreage under these new rules could mean a more stable long-term investment in your farm's productivity. Now let's talk about some practical tips for adapting these new changes. Here's what I'd recommend. Review your acreage reports carefully. Make sure that every acre of native sod is properly accounted for on your acreage reports. This is critical for aligning your coverage with new policy changes. If you're unsure, make sure that you speak with your crop insurance agent. They'll know the right steps. Also consider some higher coverage levels. Since the subsidy decreases at lower levels, you may want to consider a higher coverage level to maximize your benefits if you qualify. Doing a quick cost-benefit analysis with your agent can help you clarify which coverage level makes the most sense for your native sod land. Document everything. Yes, I know, documentation is the unfun part of farming, but trust me, you'll thank yourself later. Keep records of all farm activities on native sod, including yields, soil reports, and any conservation practices you implement. This can come in handy for future audits and any conservation incentive programs that might pop up. All right, folks, that's the scoop on native sod updates coming for 2025. Just to recap, the big takeaways: subsidies on native sod acres are getting an update, especially at the lower coverage levels. Coverage limits are now a bit stricter, especially if you're planting on newly broken sod. And accurate reporting is your friend here. Get those acreage reports in top shape. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have questions or want to dig deeper, reach out to your crop insurance agent or drop by our website at www.cropinsurancepodcast.com. We have articles and resources to help you get up to speed on the latest policy updates. This is Mike Rideout, and until next time, happy farming. From my family to yours, thank you for joining me today. Explore more at cropinsurancepodcast.com, where you'll find episodes, articles, and tools to help you make the most of your coverage. Be sure to subscribe and share with your friends and neighbors. Remember, this info is just a guide. For specific rules, please refer to the Crop Insurance Handbook and your appropriate crop provisions. This institution is an equal opportunity provider and employer.